like one more example. The transiting south node went through his 4th Pisces. Transiting north node went through Virgo, 10th house. And he had a Mercury-Neptune conjunction in Libra in the 12th house. Yeah? Okay, got it?
Yes.
So both rulers of the transit were in conjunction in the 12th house in Libra. Yeah? That's very confusing. That's a very confusing time. Natally, he had the moon in the 4th house in Pisces opposed by Mars in the 10th house in Virgo. So in this year, relative to illusions in his relationships, avoidance of relationships, yeah? He was going through, re-experience his early childhood unresolved dynamics of glorifying Ma. Yeah? But this glorifying Ma, or this deep codependency with Ma, yeah? Yeah? Made him very often, there's distress to the father, or to be ambitious. Yeah? If you see this guy, you think he really never got anything accomplished in his life. I guess he has 7 professions, with honor of, done perfectly. But he's never good enough, which goes back to the violation of early childhood, yeah? And the feeling of, feeling guilty of being sexual and suppressing his sexual needs. By that, glorifying women, yeah? And attracting women that were usually in relationships with another man, so that he could dream and suffer, but not be in reality because of the fear of judgment. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. If you see that, then of course, the one thing has to do with the unresolved issues, South Node in transit, has to do with the Neptune, and the resolution would be in the North Node, transit, 10th house, and we see how to do it is here. Huh? Okay. So far so clear on this node, transiting things?
Yes, we did talk about a nodal return.
Yeah.
Which we, but only just a little was mentioned on the nodal opposition.
Well, the nodal opposition, which is interesting to see, because keep in mind the nodes take 18 years. Yeah? It means after half the time, which is 9 years, they stand opposite your natal nodes, which is 9 years plus 18 years is when the next time they will be in opposition. Got it?
Right.
That's when you're 27. That's the Saturn return, and that's the secondary progressed moon return. Now we see what a tough time that can be. What it usually means, in general, but there are individual cases. Have you ever been in a retail store trying on a pair of jeans or pants, and you stand between 2 mirrors, yeah, to see your butt? Yeah? Do you know this feeling that it's for eternally reflected? You look forward to see the back? Yeah? That's what emotionally the client is going through in this time period. He's experiencing the future as being the past, and the past the future. Simultaneously. Yeah? That's very much what the client is going through. Yeah? And that stops as soon as the nodes get off the natal nodes. Yeah? If we do have the square, then we have a natural stress relative to the evolutionary karmic intention in this life. Stress. Or, as we know it now with the phases, on the one hand we have crisis in action, on the other hand we have crisis in belief. Yeah? Make sense? Yeah? Transiting south node, making any kind of aspect to natal planets, as much as the transiting north node, you just integrate them, but don't overemphasize them, because they usually take maximum 3 weeks. And what I really would recommend, what I showed just in my chart of last year, the Pluto transit had just hit my 9th house cusp, was right on my Mercury, which is the ruler of the North node, and right on my South node. Yeah? And Mercury being the ruler of the 6th house, where the transiting North node was going through. Make sense? That's very intense. Yeah? So, and Pluto being in transit on the 9th house cusp, on the Mercury, showed that the intention of the soul was a total metamorphosis, via confrontation with my own belief system and mental structures, how I define or give meaning to my lived reality, 6th house. relative to the transiting nodes at the very center of the Pluto transit, 18 months. Transiting nodes through Pisces, Virgo. All this, sadomasochistic belief systems of you need to suffer first in order to be loved. To eliminate that out of the system. With the Pluto transit over the Mercury, the intention is to be a better person afterwards. Yeah? And I had visions, Sagittarius, very often that I saw like myself putting a pistol into my throat. Or I was out with a student of mine having dinner, and all of a sudden I see over his head my death kind of advertisement, that I died, and it was the date in 3 weeks. Pluto and Mercury in Sag, relative to a south node transiting through Pisces, with Neptune in the 8th house in Scorpio. So those shit can happen. Okay, anyway. So are we clear in the notes? Quick.
Question. In synastry, two charts, their nodes are squaring. They have.
Well, number one is the sign, by the squaring nodes of person A, person B, that they have had life contacts in previous incarnations. Yeah? I don't know if Jeff mentioned that, but in his second book, there's on any kind of page, there, I guess, like 7, 8 little rules, 6 or 7, how you can see if two people via synastry had previous life contact. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I would highly recommend that you copy that when you prepare like for synastry reading. Mm-hmm. The one is, for instance, if Pluto of the one person makes any aspect to a natal planet of the other person. Mm-hmm. Another one is when the south node of the one person makes aspect, conjunction or aspect to any natal planet of the other person. Next one, if the ruler of the south node of the one person makes any aspect or conjunction to any planet of the other person. No? That happens like most of the time.
Especially if you take these large orbs.
Especially if you take the large orbs. But that goes back to the teaching of Buddha, be nice to everyone because, we know each other from previous lives.
And ultimately, we are all one.
There we go.
It's when it gets more involved when all the rulers of the south node are an aspect to each other, north node aspect to each other, and all that. Then it gets more intense as far as the more intensified.
Doesn't have to. Doesn't have to.
Okay.
It's more like look onto the quality of the aspect that is formed between these two. Yeah, partner A, partner B, south node and the planet. For instance, like a guy in Germany, who I knew when I was a waiter, financing, my astrology studies. I know him, and some day we ran into each other, we started like chatting, and he does medicine, and he teaches medicine. And so we hang out like 2 times, and the first time that we wanted to hang out, he gave me a call and said, do you go canoeing with me? Canoeing is not typical for Germans. Yeah? Paddling would be German. Canoeing is very much Native American. So, okay, I wondered. Then through him I came into this homeopathic school where I'm teaching at. And he has a south node in 9th house Sagittarius, as I do. But his south node is on 22 degrees Sagittarius, where my natal sun is. I had, from this moment on, conscious memories about previous lives, because it's my sun on his south node. He doesn't.
Makes sense.
So very often, and I had like visions that we were lovers, like in Great Britain, so it's just, But just like a good statement, I don't know if Jeffrey mentioned that, we pick up where we left. So if you meet someone new, you have, for instance, in your chart like Venus, Mars, balsamic, Venus retrograde, the ruler of the 7th house / 8th house being retrograde, you can be sure that most of the people you meet, from previous lives. And you're repeating the story. Just observe, how the first kind of meetings are. We pick up where we left. Do you know what I mean? It's not typical that a German guy calling another German guy to, go for a walk, asking, do you want to go canoeing? I didn't even know that in Hamburg you can go canoeing. Yeah, I didn't know that. You know how blind I am. So anyway.
too, that sometimes there's this really distinct point of recognition.
Yeah.
I notice.
Yeah.
Very, and I find that it's different for each person, but it's very distinct.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. And what I very often do, if I do have to do a sinister reading, hate them, I ask them, tell me how you met. Tell me at first how you met, how you started dating, and all those things. Because I learn while they tell me the story. Yeah? Looking into the composite chart, looking into the synastry. Yeah?
I'm sorry, how do you tell the first meeting from the composite chart?
It's not that I tell the first meeting, but I learn by them telling me their actual reality and me bringing the astrological symbolism in context with the observed reality. Make sense? Yeah?
The first meeting must somehow have the quality of the ascendant of the composite, doesn't it?
More like the south node, the Pluto of the composite.
When the relationship started and when we start into life as the ascendant, that's why I thought that.
I never looked at it this way. I always saw it like in the Pluto house sign of the composite chart and the south node and with the rulers.
Okay.
Yeah? And the overall picture.
That's the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
I just thought of the
Yeah.
start.
So would the conjunctions be more powerful than any other aspects between the nodes?
And then you want to make, distinguish if there is a conjunction. Is it balsamic conjunction or is it new? Huh?
I mean, how would you do that with synastry to figure out, like, what is this? It was a balsamic or a new face?
Well, no. Well, it depends. If you compare the same planets, Venus with Venus, yeah, then you take the one that comes in the natural order of the signs in the zodiac first. If there's a Taurus Venus, if there's a Virgo Venus, the Taurus Venus will be the point of reference. Yeah? If you compare Mars with Venus, you compare the slower planets.
Okay. What if the Venuses were in the same sign?
So, sure. Yeah. And of course, what you also can do, I don't know if Jeffrey showed you, just, let's say one person is a Scorpio rising, and the other person is an Aries rising. Yeah? Well, that's just by the house system. Yeah? What kind of core vibration is between these two individuals? By aspect to the sign. In conjunct. In conjunct. Make sense? The core vibration, very much just by the individual house system / signs on the house system, will have very likely a inconjunct vibration. Yeah? Then we need to figure out why do two people attract each other, yeah? Having inconjunct. It's not saying, oh, this is not a good relationship for you, but first, as long as they're, attracted to each other, why?
Which inconjunct is it?
Which inconjunct is it? Which one is it?
Well, is it the inconjunct of the civil space or of the
We start with Aries.
We start with Aries.
You do that for your
Yeah. So that means the ascendant of person A lands in person B here. Can you see that? Ugh, that's where the ascendant starts. So that's an inconjunct, a full face inconjunct.
All right.
No? By the way, did Jeffrey mention that with a composite chart you can also put the transits around? He did? Or the transiting nodes? No? Good. Okay.
You mentioned core vibration. You're using that with the ascendant. I mean,
Yeah.
can you give me those sentences to that?
Well, it's just one of the first things to consider. If someone with an Aries rising, starts a relationship with, a Cancer rising, and we see by degree, let's say 4 degree, 4 degree, that it's a precise square. This relationship will probably bring a lot of stress, just by the very nature of, the angle from the house system to the house system. Make sense? That's one core vibration. Even though they could have a lot of trines in the synastry, yeah, yet there's stress.
So when I hear you saying core vibration, I'm thinking of like foundational vibration. Is that
Yeah, yeah. In this incarnation relative to the individuals. Yeah? Good. What do you want to do now?
You know, Jeffrey was talking about, I guess when we were talking about the 2nd, 7th, and 12th house, saying relationships, I guess, synastry.
You learned a lot this week, huh?
And the projections of these, I think it was, I want to get this straight, about the projections with Venus, how you go out to the polarity point of Venus.
No. Very often in the 2nd house, which is your inner relationship towards yourself, how you identify, define your needs relative to yours being self-sustained, self-reliant, and your survival. Most people relative to social comparison or conditioning are not allowed to meet their needs, right? Collectively or culturally speaking, we conditioned to create codependency. So very often we project our needs from our own 2nd house just into our 7th house. Yeah? I have a Taurus 2nd house. Yeah? If I don't meet my need to be self-sustained, Taurus, then it could happen that I project that into my Libra 7th house. Yeah? Picking any beauty and hoping that this beauty would feed me.
So you would look onto your own personal 7th house?
No, repeat it. I didn't hear you.
So if you're looking at what you're projecting out onto, you look at your own personal 7th house to see what you might do.
The 7th house naturally is your projected needs. But very often, if someone is not living his 2nd house issues naturally, then he tends to, in addition to his 7th house projections, I need to be needed, puts all his inner relationship things via projection onto the other one. The same happens with the 12th house. If I don't allow myself to have an inner relationship towards my inner divine, then I probably project the divine longings that I have within onto my partners and make them God. Not necessarily. It needs to be observed.
So, for instance, my 7th house is in Aries.
Yeah.
So I might look for a guy that would be representative of an Aries person?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm not meeting my own
No.
needs.
No. No. But with the 7th house, Aries, you will naturally tend to find people that have Aries energy attractive.
Okay.
The projection happens when you would take your Scorpio 2nd house, yeah, and do not validate what you deeply need within yourself, yeah, a deep inner emotional contact to your soul's longings, i.e., yeah? But to project that on this Aries person, only because he's kind of butch or Aryan, yeah, does not mean that he has to have the same depth as you have within. Got it? That's the projection of the 2nd house into the 7th house instead of living it within yourself. Got it?
Yeah.
Good.
What if you have your south node in the 2nd house, like I do? Isn't that holding you into the past in order to have a good relationship with yourself? You know what I mean? If I have...
Yeah. There's a tendency.
But is it correct? Because
We have to look into the whole chart. In your case, no. Because you have a Pluto conjuncting North Node in Leo, in the 8th house.
So what should be my relationship with me if it isn't?
Pardon me?
What should be my relationship with me?
It's fine to have your relationship with you, but if the South Node, relative to the old security patterns of previous lives, South Node Aquarius in the 2nd house, yeah, to inwardly define myself as being so unique that no one fits to me, yeah, I can then stay my frog in the well thing, yeah, without wanting to jump into its polarity, Pluto conjuncting North Node in Leo, with the Sun in Cancer conjuncting the Moon in the 7th house. Yeah? So it's more like an evolutionary thing. You need to have your relationship to yourself. Absolutely.
But take it to the higher side rather than the lower side of the...
What do you see, the higher side, lower side?
Well, rather than be distant, rather than be more objective.
Yeah, to be objective. And then, you know, relative to your Uranus, where you find that, it was 5th house, yeah? Was it Gemini? That you naturally do have a need to detach in order to have 5th house. Enough independency or room to follow your creative things, i.e. when you have an idea of writing a book, yeah? Your lifestyle needs a lot of freedom, yeah? But after writing the book, South Node, or, you know, then it's necessary that you need to integrate that, yeah? That your needs are integrated with a form of intimate relationship, yeah?
So you just step out of it long enough to do what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if someone has, like, you know, like you, the North Node in the 8th house, Leo, conjuncting Pluto, yeah, so no Pluto polarity point is necessary. Of course, we always have constantly in a relationship towards ourselves, our 2nd house, yeah? But the trap would be to deal with it or to live it in the old way. Whenever there's any kind of option for an intimate relationship or to integrate your resources, 2nd house, into a common thing with others, to then detach. Yeah? Make sense? That would be like the old trap. Okay. Are we going to do any chart now?
How about skip steps in a composite chart? I've got a great example.
Yeah, we had, yeah? Oh, in a composite chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can do that.
Okay.
If you want to. Because otherwise, we could have done synastry and then go into the composite chart. Did you do it, Jeffrey, like a synastry chart and then do the composite of that couple?
Yeah.
Did it make sense? Oh, Ryan, did you? Good. Was it good?
Maybe in this case we can just concentrate on the basics. Do the just the nodes and squaring planets maybe and Pluto and polarity point and do that in the composite too, so that we get through. Both in symmetry and composite.
In synastry.
Well,
Let's just do this composite chart first, yeah? For skipped steps. And then we'll see if we want to do, like, you know, maybe a synastry. Again, I'm fine with not doing a synastry. By the way, it's interesting, especially if you do have a... do you want to draw it?
yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
I said that because you and Jeff always say it doesn't make sense to do composites without
First.
knowing the sense.
Yeah.
So maybe we do rather the basics of those than do those composites.
Yeah.
That's what I...
Well, let's say. Well, it's interesting, if you have like a Venus retrograde or, you know, all this, Venus balsamic, it could be a little fun when you have like a client sitting in front of you and, you know, you have your chart in your mind, of course, and you just put your chart onto the client's chart. You know, make a little synastry in your mind. You know?
So we taking a break while he draws?
I would think so. If someone can turn the camera, please. Just hit it. Oh, Mr. Freeman is here. Really further evolved is the one who's like always pulling. Yeah? Yeah? It's not equal.
What are the two levels?
Maybe like first stage spiritual and first stage individual.
Yeah? Which brings his own conflict. Especially the one in the first state, or let's say in the process of coming from individuated to first state spiritual. We should then like figure out why this person attracts a person in the first state individuated. No? You know what?
Teacher, student, counselor.
Either teacher student or because of maybe the own conditioning patterns. Yeah? To have someone on some levels that helps me, you know, to re-embrace my individuated state, which is heavily conditioned by a, you know, parental society. You know what I'm trying to say? Briefly? Okay. Good. So what do we see here? Just give me, the second house cusp is Leo or still
What does that have for the 10th house? Is that North Node, Jupiter, and Moon?
Moon, Jupiter, North Node.
Second house cusp is still Virgo.
Happy Virgo. Third house cusp?
Libra.
So we have... Oh, okay. No. Oh, am I not? Jesus, yeah, thanks. 12th house is Leo?
Yeah. Cancer, Capricorn, right now.
Cancer, Capricorn, intercept. They're here.
Yeah.
Is that the 5th house? Yeah, Capricorn. Okay, so we, yeah. Oh. We see Cancer, Capricorn, intercept in this composite chart. That's a composite chart. So is Cancer, Capricorn important for this couple? Yes or no? Yes. It is. Why? Pardon me? Okay, we do have an emphasis in 10-4.
The nose?
The house, yeah? First, does everyone clear enough? So the archetypes Cancer, Capricorn via the houses are represented as highly emphasized. We see the nodes in the houses Capricorn, Cancer / 10th, 4th. We see the moon being in conjunction with the north node, which is activated through a T-square from, on the one hand, Pluto, Uranus in the first house. On the other hand, Saturn, Venus. Saturn being again the ruler of Capricorn, T-square. So Capricorn, Cancer is emphasized.
Must be something wrong. The MC could be Gemini and the East IC Scorpio.
No, the MC is actually Taurus.
You know those planets in the 7th house?
All of them, yeah.
What degree is the moon?
6 degrees. 6 degrees. Okay, let's just start like very brief. Yeah, to do it like not so long, not to get lost in that. What was the pre-existing reality of this couple? Okay, we see an implication of that they, as two individuals, came from very similar families. How were these families? Where do you see that?
The nose and the fourth and the fourth. The south node and the fourth.
The south node and the 4th, there we see it. We then look into the ruler, which is where? Conjunct the moon. So what was the reality of these families?
Maybe like highly religious.
And highly religious because Jupiter being on the 10th house, being close to the MC, highly religious. Yeah, it's a good statement. Yeah, it's a good statement. Yeah, but 10th house.
Religion.
In a consensus way.
In a consensus way,
Organized religion.
organized religion. So the basic belief system was what? Patriarchal. Yeah. The fear of any kind of judgment if we are not in alignment with a consensus. Huh? Strict religion. What was 10th house? Be suppressed.
Emotion.
And?
Belief.
Yeah, now we put this together, meaningful sentence. The emotional truth, yeah, was totally suppressed in those kind of families.
No, are you talking about families in this life or in previous life?
In previous lives and in this life.
And in this
And in this life.
Oh.
Yeah. So both have a core need, yeah, to pick up where they left. With what intention? Jennifer answered my question, what had come before, by looking onto the south node and north node. Where do you see Pluto?
New cycle beginning.
There's a new cycle. Of what? Does Pluto make an important aspect?
Of the relationship itself.
Does Pluto make an important aspect? Is any planet close to... What phase is it in? That means what?
New cycle regard to Pluto Uranus. The new cycle regard to Pluto Uranus.
That's true. That means what?
Instinctual energy.
With Uranus, soul?
now liberating from anything past that's no
Yeah.
longer working.
Yes. It's one of the first lifetimes for this couple to now start, relative to their new cycle of re-meeting or creating any kind of relationships that are based on a highly need of being independent. Yeah? To do what? To liberate, yeah, from family, social, religious conditioning factors that in many lifetimes this couple felt totally enforced. Saturn in the 7th house via comparison with a should be. How should be a relationship? We're talking about a relationship? Yeah, and Venus. The high degree of idealism, yeah, you only have to be this and this way, which was in total opposition to the couple's common need / desires. To have enough freedom to experiment, yeah, independency in order to lock free. Yeah? Their physical and emotional desire nature. Lock free from what? South Node ruler in the 10th house. From the suppressed emotional nature relative to their early childhood imprint. Make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's like, two little wounded birds meeting in order to make a little, friendship to, together we are strong. Yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where is Mercury in the chart?
I have no idea.
Actually, that should be...
We don't have a Mercury in this chart. They didn't talk.
No communication.
The Venus in Aquarius should be Mercury in Aquarius.
Oh, okay. That's a Mercury.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you see the core theme in this composite chart? Yeah? It's very simple. Now we could go dive deeper. Where do they know each other from? What? Why? Where do you see that?
It's in Sagittarius, it's not in Scorpio.
Where's Pluto? Where's that? That's Virgo. That's Virgo. That's Virgo. Excuse me.
From church.
I get one. They've gone to crusade.
Uh-huh. One,
They were warring together.
Oh, I see.
Warring together?
How about nomadic tribes helping each other affect their survival? This is Virgo.
Survival?
They were like helping each other survive. Like warring.
Yeah. I can't come along with this helping each other to survive. Where did they also have previous incarnations in?
Israel.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the emotional reality right now. Emotional reality right now. What have they been in previous life?
Different genders?
Sure. In relationship to each other? Yeah, sure.
No, that's all.
They've also been monks and nuns, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. But what else? What else? Where are the nodes? What houses are the nodes in? Parents / family structure. Family structure. Yeah, can you see that?
We met each other as children. Like one of us was the child.
No? No? Hello, what signs are there? Good morning.
Oh, they've been brothers.
Siblings. They even had incarnations in the same family. Yeah? Where they helped each other to emotionally nurture. One brother or sibling was taking care of the other one. Yeah? Because they understand their emotional nature and the patriarchal overlayer of always being false, wrong. Yeah? Not good enough. Because of their emotional reality of both being very much male-female. No lactus being in 4 at 10. Cancer, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Yeah? Male-female. Yeah? Let's go. Can you see that? To create a kind of a strong emphasis against the parents' education or enforcement of whatever the parents expected these two guys or souls to be, it was never good enough. Their desires were always in constant opposition to the expectations of family, religion, and parents or society. You know? So together we are strong, they were fighting against that, which had the reaction of the outer society, that they very often were enforced, Saturn opposing Pluto, enforced to do what? Conjuncting Uranus. Okay, now make it logical, detach. Make it simple. They got separated. You see that again in the North Node ruler conjuncting, in Aquarius, which created tremendous crises. Yeah? Because they were not able to help each other to empower themselves in their individual way. Sun.
They were separated by being put into duties.
Into duties. Even sold on the slave market. Yeah? Even sold to become, hold on, that's my...
Well, they were sold because the resources to survive, virtue as a peak of the second house,
We're lacking.
Mercury and 6, weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
They had to sell them because they couldn't feed them.
No. Very often I also see that, what happened was that the parent, or one of the two parents, when they were siblings, fourth them, created lies against them. Create a certain way of competition. You know what I mean? Can you see that? Competition? Competition is Leo or Sun. Yeah?
Where's the lies?
The lies, Saturn, in Pisces. Yeah? That one parent, Saturn, was doing a double standard game. Telling the one sibling, you know what the other one did? To separate them in their minds. To violate their trust towards each other.
Could that be why there is still a combination of incredible trust and at times no trust at all?
Yes. Yeah. Why? Because very often you have experienced in previous life separation. Separation. Yeah?
The other line was to pretend that they were safe with them.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah. Yeah.
conjunct Venus.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, there was something else.
Also, Scorpios on the fourth house type, too?
No, Sag. Oh, no, that's the fourth house. Yeah, Scorpio, sorry. That's the fourth house, yeah.
How about one Native American lifetime where when the tribe was taken over and they were forced, indoctrinated, kind of like give up their culture through white schooling?
Yeah, very much. And we see the same thing happening, what you just mentioned, nomadic tribes, that actually happened very much in the North African continent. The Bedouins there, the nomadic, what we call now the Arabic world, Gemini, Persia, Mesopotamia. They very often were just like very good friends because the families were friends with each other. Yeah, like neighbors' sons playing with each other, being of like mind. Yeah.
Where do you get the Bedouin area?
The what?
The Bedouin? Where do you get that area?
The Bedouins? The Bedouins? Gemini.
What line?
Moon conjuncting Jupiter is a traveling tribe.
Yeah, no, that I get that, but
In Gemini, it's North Africa.
oh, that's
And it's, the Silk Route. From trading India to Italy, Persia, all these things.
What about being gypsies?
There's gypsies, sure. Yeah.
well, Jeff said gypsies are originally from like the Bedouin side.
Yeah, sure. Hold on, there was something else. No, and what is one natural thing in those kind of tribes? Or what was some... Because of the what is the reason for the attraction between the two guys?
We're friends. They could communicate and understand each other.
Okay, understanding that is based on what?
Being different.
Being different relative to what comparison? Different is Aquarius.
To the relationship with the other people in the family.
Yeah. To the comparison via the high standard or expectations of the family, each of them perceived as I don't fit in there. Yeah, but I need to suppress my needs in order to, to be somehow loved, conditionally loved. Yeah. And now they meet, having the same kind of background, South Node, 4th house, Jupiter, Moon, 10th house, yeah, and built up a like-mind understanding. Yeah, can you see that? That is re-empowering them. That gives them a feeling of having a certain kind of, value. Yeah? That becomes the very basis for their link of wanting to be together. Do you see a lot of sexual links in here?
Sure, one, the Mars conjunct the South Node.
Yeah. But what is the very dynamic behind that? The need to become sexual with each other.
Emotional security.
To have emotional security based on like-mindedness of now finding someone who gives me the feeling that me feeling different is not so bad.
Really?
Yeah? That's like, having a good friend who, you feel like totally misunderstood wherever you go, and there's one who gives you the feeling to be understood. Don't you want to be hugged by this person? Yeah?
I think the relationship is coming out of a feeling of both of them feeling lack. I mean, being with...
Of course, but where does the lack come from? Where does the lack come from?
Because they're different than...
Different than what?
Than the consensus.
Yeah, than the social, religious expectations of the family that totally suppress relative to their gender the other side of their nature, being androgynous.
So
Yeah?
they feel strong.
Yes.
Separated.
Yeah, but the problem is whenever they become sexual, it does not work. Just for a certain time, for a certain time. Probably. Yeah?
Well, I don't understand. What do you mean? It doesn't work for a certain time.
It does work for a certain time, but not continuously.
Yeah, it's like continually, like stop and go. It's continually interrupted.
Stop and go. Stop and go. Stop and go. Do you see it? Why? This attraction between these two people, souls, is basically on relative to they're not feeling emotionally understood / mate. If they feel that they have been made to feel guilty for not fitting into the narrow-minded religious belief or lifestyle overlayer relative to the parents. That's the attraction between them. Two people of like mind, of having the same emotional background story of crises. Yeah? That's the first attraction. To be understood, to be re-empowered, to heal each other. Pluto polarity point in the 7th house where the Venus is. Hello? Yeah? To heal what? The emotional body. Yeah? To heal, everything which has to do with gender orientation. We have Saturn T-squaring the nodes in a 4th house, 10th house. Yeah? The gender orientation. To be allowed to embrace what is natural for them. Yeah? And the other reason is to help each other, giving a sense, Venus, of being protected, Saturn. Yeah? A feeling that they don't have when they were in their families, in their early childhood. It was not given. Yeah? Mark just mentioned, or someone being in a monastery. In a monastery, well, we see Saturn in Pisces, the expectation is to not be sensual / sexual. Yeah? But we all sometimes need a hug, don't we? Yeah? Now keep in mind, in the old monasteries, there was no heating system. It was fucking cold in winter. Yeah. Yeah? You got it.
Mars and Taurus, the
You got it. You got it? Did you get it? Yeah. So very often, just out of a necessity of just getting warmth, there was the other brother of like mind, of same story. They felt understood. To then give warmth, then to feel that the suppressed needs, yeah, suppressed needs, the cut off needs, felt so good now. Yeah. Make sense? That the touch of the other one was just healing. It just gave a feeling of, safe. Yeah? This is a wonderful friendship couple that, from my point of view, always shall come together when they meet each other to just help re-strengthening. You know what I mean? I have a very similar composite chart with a friend of mine. Our composite chart is the Venus in Pisces too. When one of us is down, we just, spent an evening together just holding. Just holding. Knowing that it's not meant to be an intimate relationship. But it's a wonderful, I always call these the little, how do you call it? The little sweeties on the way. Because it's a psycho-free zone. You know what I mean? It's a psycho-free zone.
Psycho-free.
Got it? Got it? Yeah? It's very leaning back. It's like going to a sauna where you get massage and this and this and this. It's just like, cleansing. Yeah? From all this psycho stress. Yeah? Can you see that? Yeah?
One of the difficulties maybe in this kind of relationship is when it crosses friendship into intimacy, because they're such good friends. And then
Yeah?
Well, because, with the Pluto and Uranus in the first house and like the energy that brings, and when it gets sexual, it's like all hell kind of breaks loose, basically.
That's also the Mars in Scorpio, conjuncting the South Node. Which has to do that you both very often mirror the own intake of feeling guilty of being sexual, being emotional, being sensual. Yeah? So it's either an over-acceleration of the sexual impulse. It becomes overheated too fast. That one might then feel overwhelmed. Yeah? Yeah? The one is just on, and the other one goes like, hey, slow. Yeah? Something like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
But see, this goes back to the Pluto in the first house. Both of you are in a brand new cycle. Brand new cycle. So they need a lot of independency. They need the independency to figure out via experiment. Uranus. Yeah?
Well, in this relationship, there's a case of one person being extremely independent with like all kinds of interests, and that's myself, and the other person being very kind of slow and traditional and just working and not knowing how to handle somebody like that.
We're looking at a composite chart. So, in a composite chart, that would be synastry. It's something different. Yeah? In synastry, let's say the one would be, in synastry, if that would be one Pluto, and the synastry, bullshit. The Saturn of the other person makes opposition to that. Then the other one is always the Saturn, and the other one is always this here. In composite, it can mirror both. Yeah? Can mirror both. That would mean as soon as you would start to be a little bit the Saturn kind of thing, moving slower, taking care, you would probably see the other one now slipping into your role. Because that's your composite chart. Can you see it? One chart for two people? Yeah? Yeah? But the challenge is, from my point of view, see, we do have like two T-squares. Yeah? The one is like from Pluto, Uranus. Which one is the resolution? The North Node, with its ruler in Gemini, conjuncting the Sun. And the other one is from Saturn, Venus, with the South Node, activating the South Node, its ruler in the 10th house. In a couple's case, yeah. I have no idea how to read it. We'll figure that out in a second.
Sexual part is part of if you want to use Mars as sexual activities, and that is part of the resolution, isn't it?
Or glad to be as a babe.
It's both nodes.
Well, if we come from what we stated before, what is one intention of this couple to be together relative to further evolution through the polarity point?
Cheer each other on.
To cherish? Oh, to cheer, yeah. What else? To help? To help heal from what?
Oh, it's just strong. And somebody validated it.
Yeah. To help each other, give from time to time whenever it's needed, Venus, a certain way of strengthening to slip into sometimes even a parental role of a co-equal, who is then just holding the other one as a healing process. To what? Unlock and heal the, suppressed emotions. Where very often one or the other becomes very judgmental of the lifestyle of the other one. But that please goes back to the one being in a almost spiritual state and the other one being in the beginning of individuated state, relative to, the information that we got. Yeah? The intention is also what? Are you okay?
It's definitely to heal the feelings of anger from the past, too.
Yeah. And to heal the feeling of, any kind of guilt if I don't meet the expectation of a narrow-minded society with its narrow-minded religious bullshit. No? One shoe does not fit on all feet.
And it has a lot to do with emotional security and with social security.
Yes.
The south node has to do with emotional security, and the north node with social security.
That's the beauty about astrology. When do we really have a feeling, a sense of security?
When we're emotionally secure within ourselves.
Thank you, which is the fourth house. Yeah? Or Pluto polarity point Pisces. It's a yin sign. Or your polarity point in the fourth house.
Right.
Yeah? So emotional or social security can best be achieved if I start to feel secure within myself. Therefore, each of them needs to help each other to emotionally accept their very inner emotional nature, i.e. being like bisexual or, androgynous or whatever. Yeah? And to start to find that emotionally natural for them. Yeah? Natural. Not to enjoy it first, afterwards to be touched, relative to, oh my God, I've done something, that is like, if someone is going to the red light district, being totally horny, and afterwards, he's judging himself by cleaning the kitchen. You know what I mean? That's very much the dynamic. Yeah? Got it? But to accept what is, period. And to learn to take responsibility for that. Jupiter, rule of the south node, being there. And Pluto polarity point being right on Saturn. Can you see that? Pluto polarity point on Saturn is like a Pluto polarity point in the 10th house. Learn to take responsibility for what you are. Yeah?
You're saying that each of us has to do that, has to help each other as individuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just something we're getting through the relationship, but so we're able to get it on our own. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because otherwise the relationship can't have it. If one is still bottled up in, religious, narrow-minded, crap, always after having a great orgasm that is liberating his emotional body, then cleaning the kitchen or going to Catholic church and doing all this kneeling up, down kind of thing as a form of atonement, yeah, then the partnership cannot be self-responsible and co-equal, where both learn to take care of their own needs in the context of the like friendship/relationship. A friendship that is allowed to be touchy, warm, and healing whenever needed. But where the need of independency is also given. Yeah? But the independency is not based on any kind of, guilt trip crap. Yeah? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
And couldn't it also be an issue to learn, what I say that, I mean, if you look at the North Node in the 10th house in Gemini, and somehow to learn to establish a structure in which they could work together in some kind of an extraordinary way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you look into relative to structure, or here, North Node, yeah, that they allow themselves, to have an extraordinary kind of structure, like extraordinary lifestyle. When you two guys are together, allow yourself to be different. Take responsibility for that.
There's
Yeah?
the chance to establish the life, to earn money on being different.
Yeah. At least for both individuals, because if the one is not judgmental anymore, the other one has a chance, learn via comparison and examples. Yeah? And if you hang out in the bar and everyone, starts to judge you, have a smile on the face and you're like, okay, that's their narrow-mindedness. Yeah? to allow themselves to experiment, to have an honest communication, whenever someone has like an idea in his mind, instead of judging it, oh my God, what should he think about that if I do that, to express it. And then to see if the other one goes from there, and the other one says like, no, this is really not my thing, not because of religion and conditioning, but I don't like that. Yeah, we can try, but if I don't like it, what then? Yeah? Then to encourage the other one to, to experience his need wherever he wants to experience it. Yeah? Because one thing is sure, these two guys love each other dearly. Can you see that? If so, where? No, sure. Yeah. Venus and Pisces, opposite to Pluto. But very often because of religious kind of, or social expectation relative to the expected behavior towards genders. Yeah? One of the other has to manipulate or use the other one, yeah, to not be socially judged. Yeah? So this deep kind of unconditional love you feel for each other. Yeah? Just being happy if the other one is happy. Just being there when the other one needs to. Yeah? Is a little bit like bottled up. That can be, of course, be freed or helped by, touch. By touch. Just holding each other. No? Doing some little adventures together. And not projecting my own security onto the other one. Is it, no? Make sense? Yeah? Sound with this chart? I mean, we could uncover much more, back forth, da da da. But
How did they first meet?
oh yeah,
In a bar.
what a surprise!
South Node and Sag.
South Node in Sag with Jupiter in Gemini. What, can you remember the first kind of dialogue you had?
It was, completely insignificant.
Okay. But on an energetic level, it was like zooming out, huh? There's a high degree of magnetism. Yeah?
Why is South Node and Sag meeting in a bar? I don't understand.
Not because of that.
Like that clubs or something. It's more, of course, not as evolved, but not that it's not as evolved. That's not what I'm saying. But it's the ruler of the South Node.
I see more that the ruler of the South Node is in Gemini. Gemini is a chitter-chatter place.
Sure.
We don't want to get deep. We just want to have chitter-chatter.
Right.
Yeah?
Right. No, I just
Which is nice.
It's just plus Pluto in the ninth house. He says that in the consensus state, these couples will go out to nightclubs a lot and yeah.
Yeah.
Can you also see Uranus at all with that?
Not necessarily.
Is that like social?
Did you sooner or later talk, in the first kind of, getting known to each other or re-meeting each other, like in this life? Did you start to talk at a certain point about family?
Very first night we talked about family, yeah. Almost immediately, within the first hour.
Go figure.
Can you see? We pick up where we left. They talk about family. Yeah? Almost in the first night. I mean, if I have a flirt, the last thing that comes into my mind, usually, is to talk about mom and dad while I want to, be tender. But in this, but in this chart, it's a necessity because that is indeed the very ongoing thing what has come before. Yeah? A need to unite with each other, to listen to each other, to understand relative to parental imprint, family issues. Can you see how astrology is reflecting life? Not causing life, but reflecting it? Yeah? Great. Good. Anything else about this chart? Satisfied?
Oh, very, yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, you did this without doing the synastry and even doing the natal chart. It was interesting to watch because it seemed quite accurate.
That comes from practice. Yeah. I did follow my own advice and Jeff's advice. Start with synastry first. Natal chart.
Right.
preparation, second house, 7th house, 12th house of each thing. Then put partner A on B, B on A. Yeah? Synastry. Then, if you then come to the composites, it's crystal clear. Yeah? By doing a couple times these things, you then start to see it in here too. Yeah. Good. What time is it? What? Do you want to go home, or shall we? Another option that would be, with the permission of the two, Jennifer and Ryan, would be the synastry of a friendship, attraction happened, that they met. Yeah. Is that okay, just to see how we pick up the third in Taurus? Okay. Venus is in the 7th in Leo. Okay.
And then the North Node.
I don't have a health insurance, so I should be careful.
North Node is in Scorpio in the 9th. And Pluto's second.
And Pluto is here. Saturn is squaring the nodal axis. This little Saturn here? Yeah. It's in... It's in Leo. It's in Leo? Okay, so let me just do that. So we have... That's the first thing you need to do if you look into a chart when it comes out of the computer. It's like, is any planet T-squaring the nodes? T-square the nodal axis. The resolution is here. What node? South node in Taurus. 3rd house. With happy Venus in Leo. Conjuncting the Sun, Mercury. It's 13 degrees. Yeah, you're right. So, more like Mercury. Okay. Good. Okay. So just very brief, what is Jennifer's life about? You have Jennifer's chart somewhere in the...
Yeah, that's
yeah?
good, yeah.
So it's probably better we just make like her reading.
Gender your nickname or is it just in the
Yeah. No,
It's a new day of the week. We're just invented.
Today's gender.
Today's Jen Day.
Every day is Jen Day.
Leo.
Leo. Okay. Is Saturn the ruler of your 11th house? Capricorn in your 11th house, cusp? 12th house? Sag is on the 11th. Capricorn is on the 12th. Aquarius is in here. 2nd house cusp is Pisces. Aries, interceptor?
No.
Huh?
Aries is on the 3rd house, Taurus is on the Ice.
Okay. Aries, Taurus. Gemini 5th? Okay. Nope. What am I doing? Okay. Good. So, Pluto, Libra, 8th house. Both nodes being activated. Flip-flop.
Well, she's coming from ultimate Pluto in the 8th as far as the confrontation. She's going through, past life has been through lots of intense confrontations that have to do obviously with the Libra archetype now, relationship issues, and with the South Node in the 3rd house in Taurus, I intuit the beliefs and the mental construction being challenged in this life, or actually with Saturn squaring that. Well, I'm going off in the directions, but security issues, mental construction.
What?
For belief system, security, I mean, as far as having her issues revolving around her beliefs, as far as her mental construction. I'm just kind of getting the ball rolling, so.
Okay, who wants to pick up from there? We see a Pluto in Libra, right? And we see a ruler of the South Node being in a Libra house. Can you see that? And we see the ruler of the activated North Node, Scorpio, again in a Libra sign. We see an emphasis on the Western Hemisphere. Where's the Pluto polarity point? So the soul's intention, second house Aries.
No, but it's
Yeah?
So developing her own individualness about her through the relationships with other people that in past life hasn't been able to do. So in this life she is here to now develop her own, ask and answer her own questions through her own security circles for herself within.
Where do you see the security?
Second house, polarity point.
Oh, okay. Okay. Does it touch you? Okay.
Father, relationship issues, squaring the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Her own inner authority within herself, the polarity point, second house. Through her beliefs, nodal axis.
No, it's good. Yeah, it's good, like throwing stuff out, you know, it's like a brainstorming. Yeah. Well, going back to this emphasis of Libra archetype, who wants to go from there?
Developing who she is versus who she is not.
Are you talking about this life intention?
Actually, from past also, from the 8th house, Pluto.
Yeah.
But in this life, you have to through contrast and comparison,
Yes.
through relationship,
Yes.
to develop her own individualness,
Yes.
uniqueness within herself,
Yes.
through the confrontations that the soul creates for itself, through the relationship,
Yeah.
the relationship dynamic.
Okay. What happened in previous life?
She was cut off, shut off. That's what I said.
Okay.
I don't know yet. She's been going back and forth
Saturn T-square.
as far as what she believes inside herself versus what everybody else is doing. Or maybe the light, no, that's not right.
Any other options?
to re-strengthen own inner needs and desires in relationship.
Yeah.
But starting this relationship with herself.
Yeah. How she'll start with a relationship with herself? Can you give the astrological reasoning for that?
Well, because the South Node is Taurus,
Mm-hmm.
and whose ruler sits in the 7th house in Leo,
Right.
so she needs to re-strengthen herself first.
Right. Where is the, why do you point at the South Node? That she needs to do that?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the revolution now.
Exactly. Saturn T-square to the nodes. Yeah. The main focus should be in the South Node, 3rd house. Yeah. In Taurus, with its ruler Venus in Leo in the 7th. Yeah.
Because she's done that a bit before. She's done it a bit before, but she's always had this really strong temptation to find it through intimate sexual relationships.
A temptation to find it through intimate relationship?
Herself to get in front enough self-reliance through intimate sexual relationships.
Where do you see that?
The flip-flopping, and those actually have both suppressed the flip-flopping of Saturn, suppressed her integration, the South Node and Scorpio. Oh, oops, I missed something. I thought that was an A. I'm sorry.
No, but it was right. The statement was right.
Yeah, I know.
The reasoning is not right.
The account of the men.
How did she define deepest emotional security in previous lives? Through her partners.
And what they believe.
Learning mental activities, where did you see that?
South Side in the third house. The Greek days by Venus and that Mercury.
It was the South.
Yeah. Where's Taurus? Where's Leo? Combine them. Mental activities, what for? That's the South Node? Where, you gave me a statement about the third house and Venus conjuncting Mercury. What I'm missing is, to make the whole statement sound, is the sign Taurus and the sign Leo.
Is she a prostitute in past life, like the dangerous thief?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she could gain knowledge and information, but she used it for sexuality.
Now we're getting close. So what kind of archetype do we see here? Well, if we see on the one hand prostitution, where do you see prostitution? Sure. What was the other kind of option a woman had?
To have babies or be a prostitute.
To have, yeah. Either getting married and being the extension of the man's husband's reality, Saturn in the 7th house, yeah, and to produce babies, yeah, but not having a right of any kind of education. No permission, Saturn, of mental growth, yeah, of being in charge of her own life, but just living vicariously through someone else on a high degree form of codependency. Yeah? Or the other option, in order to embrace knowledge, wisdom, having access to the libraries and all that, to become a courtesan. No?
How do you then?
And she was humiliated during this time.
Where do you see that?
Mars is Virgo in the 8th. And possibly killed.
No. I mean, it's not fun, you know, to open up, you know, sexually to everyone who, you know, you need to sleep with. Yeah. So?
She was very high-ranking prostitute.
Yeah. She knew the royal bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Pardon me? The North Node was also activated.
In the ninth house with the Uranus and the moon, Scorpio there, and it's Aquarius and Saturn and the sun. And this is like a concentration camp scenario where she was persecuted because of judgment on her and lost her life, and or being needed separated from her family and her tribe.
Yeah.
So there's strong survival issues going back to Taurus and Capricorn. She has felt very strong survival.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you see here the emphasis of survival instinct in this life again, resolution node in Taurus, with the Venus, rule of that, being in Leo. So everything is about re-empowering her ability to be in charge of her own life, Saturn, yeah? And to revalidate everything she needs / has in order to survive, to then show it or express it in context of other people / society, no? To allow herself to, you know, to be realigned, to revitalize, to re-empower, yeah? Because of those scenarios as you just described, the separation of the family, yeah? The cut off of her female, yeah? Yeah?
Libra's Roman time.
Libra's Roman times, yeah?
I get a really strong vibe for that. Yeah. Like Roman time.
Been trying to zoom into the French. Mm-hmm. French. France.
Is that real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Good. So her life intention is to learn to totally, you know, become self-reliant relative to her physical instincts, yeah? Yeah? To learn to trust these instincts, yeah? To be self-sustained, to then, going from there, to learn to express who she is, what kind of wisdom she has. You could go deeper. She's a, very intuitive person, yeah? Very zoomed in to what we call natural law, which goes back to matriarchal times, yeah? Where doing sexuality was very often also an act of healing, yeah? Or release of emotional pressure to help usually to revitalize the physical energies, the emotional energies, yeah, all that. Yeah? That's where it's coming from. Yeah? And
About that really interesting event where she's able to draw on the mental level and the emotional level simultaneously.
once again, to
The moon and the Uranus are conjunct. Is she able to draw on the emotional level and the mental level together? Is that integrated for her? Is she able to understand her emotions and is she able to feel her thoughts? You know what I mean?
she's very much able to come to objectify her emotional reality. Yeah? Very able to do. But on the other hand, we see, of course, unresolved trauma relative to family issues, yeah? Co-equal or, like-mind friendships, sexual relationships, the very nature of that, because of very often, abusive scenarios, what happened to her natural emotional body. Yeah? Do we need to go deeper? Or do we have an idea about that now? Yeah.
The Saturn, that whole thing with, the relationship with my father is definitely like a big underlying issue.
Yeah. 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 And, and there's also probably sometimes a need to find someone, yeah, because this Virgo, Libra, 7th house thing, to find someone who would support you through your life. Never been there?
It's not, no, I mean, I definitely, relationships are really important to me, but as far as, listening to, somebody who's giving, money or, rich, I mean, it's not,
Okay. Okay. Keep in mind that the 7th house / Libra is an archetype to initiate relationships. It's a cardinal sign. With the Venus in Leo. What could that mean?
Tracking the silver-tongued devil type?
Not necessarily. No. It's very flirty. It needs flirt to initiate kind of relationship in order to get a feedback, in order to then see, that I feel good. And to, a strong need to make others feel good. 7th house. But she no doubt has the ability to. Yeah? Okay, anyway. Good. So now we compare that, what we have in mind with Ryan. Sure.
with Mercury right there. She's very special, very beautiful, like what she did the other day.
Yeah. 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 Everything which is artist or artistic, yeah, is re-empowering her, re-strengthening her. Yeah. Which in a further evolution, as older she gets, she will see a lot of potential that she has, where from my point of view, she at a certain point will also touch a lot of people. With her personality, she will become or should be very often stand be in public, 7th house. Yeah? To then either via acting or, literature or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. To re-empower or to refresh people. But relative to her 2nd house being Pisces, with this Neptune being in Sagittarius in the 10th house. Sorry. There's also a capacity to really help people heal. What she could do with her hands and touch. Can you see that? We also have an application, from my point of view, again with children. Which Saturn's T-square could heal a lot of the inner family slash father slash society issues relative to the moon Uranus on the activated north node. Yeah? By integrating the female again. Yeah? And because, you know, with a very physical thing that could be just giving birth to a baby. That this experience makes a huge change. Yeah? To experience the, you know, the wonder of wonder, so to speak. No? Yeah. Do you still have Ryan's chart a little bit in your mind? Yeah. No? Yeah. You do? I do. What is the main intention? We spent a lot of time in Ryan's chart. What was his resolution node?
Second house again.
Second house, which is a Taurian archetype, in the sign Leo. Got it? Yeah? It's about, you know, being able to realign with its own need structure. And where's the ruler of his north node slash resolution node? In Libra. In Libra. Got it? Yeah? Jennifer's resolution node is in a Taurus archetype. Third house, yeah, okay. With the ruler being in the 7th house, which is a Libra archetype, in Leo. Ryan's chart has a 2nd house resolution in Leo with a ruler in Libra. Can you see the parallels? Yeah? Both have a need relative to their relationship issues. Him coming from a south node, Aquarius. Yeah? This in-out kind of structure. Relationship, know myself, relationship, myself. Yeah? Both have Pluto in Libra. Yeah? Both have a need to learn to revalidate what they are slash what they need in the context of being in a relationship or being able to initiate relationships, right? Yeah? Can you see that? That both have this natural need. Ryan has a Uranus in Scorpio, T squaring the nodes. Yeah? And we've been talking about very, you know, a lot of emotional kind of things. Huh? In his chart. In Jennifer, we see a Jupiter, Moon conjunct Uranus in the 9th house Scorpio. Yeah? There's also some, you know, with a Saturn T squaring the nodes, some emotional, you know, trauma slash, you know, things that want to be healed via reintegration, revalidation. Taurus, 2nd house archetype. Can you see the parallels? Two different charts, but like a very similar core theme. You know? Make sense? Good. So what we want to do is we want to now put Ryan's chart, which is in the outer circle, onto Jennifer's chart. Keeping in mind, his Pluto coming from the 4th house. Can you see? His Pluto 4th house. Lands in her. Here. Was that green? Is that it?
Yeah.
Lands in her 9th house. And the Pluto is on 21 degrees Libra. Yeah? 21 Libra. Is it okay if we do step by step? Yeah? Pluto from the 4th house, landing in the 9th house of the other one. Yeah? Let's imagine there comes a soul coming from the 4th house and is landing like an airplane in the 9th house of someone else. Yeah? How does then the 9th house react to that? And how does the Pluto in the 4th house perceive it relative to being in the 4th house? Yeah, it's like playing ping pong. Good. Any major aspects? 21 degree.
Between Pluto?
From Ryan's Pluto to her natal planet slash houses. Is your Jupiter on 27 degrees?
Yeah, 27 degrees.
That's wide in conjunction. That's very wide. It's over.
It's sextile her Venus Mercury.
In square to December.
Okay. And what?
No, it's like his Libras are from yeah, that is. It's all sextile.
That's sextile.
Now, a couple of quintiles.
Okay. Just like there's a sextile to Venus. That was not a beautiful one. Yeah. Thank you. What did you say? Yeah. Yeah. But let's just first stick like just to Pluto to hang on to the paradigm. So, okay, now your turn from the 4th house Pluto. Yeah, everything we have a memory about Ryan's chart is now landing in Jennifer's 9th house. Pluto 4th house Libra, landing in Libra 9th house. If you want to, of course, we can, embrace the conjunction of Uranus. It's wide. Okay, good. Pluto's coming from the 4th house in Libra, landing in a 9th house.
Expanding from...
What does the Pluto bring? What kind of vibe does it bring? A Pluto coming from Libra 4th house.
Security in relationships.
To feel secure in relationships. Yeah? There's a high degree of need to emotionally feel secure by being in a relationship with someone who is perceived as more or less equal. Yeah? Yeah? So this vibe is landing in her 9th house. How does the Pluto coming from the 4th house feel in this 9th house?
Good.
What? Good? Not good?
Yeah, overwhelmed.
A little overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Little dizzy.
Well, would they would be sharing the same belief structures.
Thank you. Thank you. There will probably be a more or less like sharing or listening to or mirroring, Libra, of very similar belief structures relative to cosmological beliefs. Yeah? Okay? That by him being there in her 9th house, yeah, she feels good about because him giving the emotional kind of nurturing while listening to her. You know what I mean? Yeah? Okay? And he feels emotionally well because of the like-mindedness of belief structure. Yeah? Finally not feeling Uranus T-square in his chart, not feeling alienated. Yeah? Gosh, I feel understood. Yeah? That could be a person with who I could, on whatever level, common, be expanding, from an emotional and philosophical point of view. That feels good. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Now, how does the 9th house react? I already shared that. How does the 9th house react? It's such a warm, nurturing, maybe sometimes emotionally needy Pluto from the 4th house lands in my 9th house.
How does she feel?
Mm-hmm. How does her 9th house feel? There comes his soul, landing in her 9th house.
Honestly embracing.
Hmm?
The words that come to me are like honestly embracing.
Honestly embracing. Yeah?
Giving a natural inclination to want to teach or counsel or share philosophy.
Thank you. Yeah, see what Mary's doing? She was like really ping-ponging 9th house, 4th house. Yeah? That in her, there might be Libra archetype, that she starts to sense the need, yeah? That he would love to get some teaching, 9th house, for him to feel emotionally secure. Yeah? Or to give some, kind of like-mind, very good. That's like chemistry. Maybe going on a hike. Let's see where this was coming from. Her 2nd house, for Neat, the ruler is in 10th house, Sagittarius? Nature. Yeah? She does have a very essential need, yeah, in a relationship and sexual terms, yeah, to do some activities out in nature. Yeah? That's stimulating her. Stimulating her. Yeah? Yeah. Good.
Bring in the Scorpio that follows in that chart, and like we were talking about the cusp of the door, it will start out on a level of friendship, like-mindedness, but there's that shared common belief and penetrate their souls and get them able to deeper, less superficial level.
Yeah, we can do that. For sure we can do that.
It will start out as a friendship, but it can be something where their souls will secure and safe enough to be totally honest and open.
Yeah. But what I would prefer with my little Virgo emphasis, that we just do, you know, for not getting confused, just, you know, I know it's like cutting off the cake, but now just to go like onto his south node. His south node. Coming from his 8th house. Landing in her number 1 house. No? Relative to what we said, his Pluto lands in her 9th, and a little bit the reaction, action-reaction. No? Relative to his in previous life, to be emotionally secure within relationships, very often South Node in Aquarius, he got into intimate relationships, 8th house, that are based on like-mindedness. Yeah? And if we go further, like with Uranus and Scorpio, to then explore or dive deep into the very essence of the given life and its motivations. Yeah? In the intention to get the feedback that he needs to feel emotionally secure, Scorpio, feedback, that's that. Yeah? But also be willing to nurture the other one, Pluto coming from the 4th house, for the other one to feel secure. And to help to see in the deep scorpionic level where there are things that need to be liberated via confrontation. But very often this confrontation made this relationship be cut off. End. Why? Because very often unresolved emotional traumas from many family kind of things that we talked about came up in the intimate relationships. Yeah? Very often, you know, unresolved traumas from before were now lived in the relationship, you know, via sometimes even projection. Aquarius, or a mental emphasis of mental signs. Yeah? When she did something, or, you know, a partner, that reminded of some other wounds that were still emotionally there. Yeah? So then the Uranus in Scorpio misinterpreted that behavior of the other person, yeah, as an intent to hurt. Yeah? And in order to feel safe, to then cut it off, or to emotionally detach. So the other one was suffering. Yeah? We are in this little kind of cycle, you know, kind of thing.
But if falling in the 1st house, would that give him the freedom to be an independent physical being from that, being able to relate on being in the 1st house, being freedom and independence, and now his intensity is now there, but now he can separate himself from being his own physical.
Whose 1st house is it? Jennifer's. His 8th house synastry is really like, to explain it even more, and in English is even more. So South Node, yeah, but his South Node coming in from the 8th house lands in her 1st house. Okay?
In the past, she helped him.
There comes a South Node from the 8th house. Yep. Forget about Aquarius for a second. From the 8th house. Huh? Deep. Into her 1st house.
He knows where she's coming from.
He senses where she's coming from via the observation of a physical instinct. How does she feel? 1st house.
Good.
her and she's going to have to be a little insecure for the test?
Do you really think so? No. No. There is a vulnerability, but not yet. Not yet. We'll see that in a sec. There comes a vibration from the 8th house. Yeah? Deep, emotional, being very exceptional. Exceptional? Special? Yeah? Special. Aquarius. Landing in an Aquarius first house. How does that vibrate? Electric. So how does Jennifer feel? Energized? That was not intended to. It just slipped out of my face. I'm sorry.
Response to that vibrates more.
There's a vibration.
And that becomes like a sparking from fire.
Pardon me? Inspiration is more 12th house. There's a sexual stimulation. A note from a sexual house, which is emotional, lands, even though it's Aquarius, in the 1st house, which is sexual instincts. Yeah? Klista, klista.
We were talking about the Uranus and the flushing and the husband, and she's flushing now.
Should we ask them to leave? Or should we leave?
Bella's back to normal. Is it true? Yeah. But see, the nice thing about this kind of is that it's unusual. Yeah? It's not this typical kind of, little hormone rush in the system. There's something else that makes her curious. You know what I mean? It's not only like, sure, when I go to the supermarket, there might be, another individual where you're like, yeah? But here it's also based on a like-mindedness. Yeah? Coming from his emotional 8th house, or Pluto 4th house, yeah? Experiences in prior life of emotional / any kind of traumas. Yeah? So she, with her physical body, starts to feel his wounds. Yeah? Is also his depth. Yeah? Yeah? 8th house. Yeah? Keep in mind, she wants to help. She, Venus in the 7th. They just slow down usually, it has to be like faster. So just like, so far. She feels like seen or appreciated as a very unique individual. Yeah? 1st house. It's stimulating some, let's do something special. Yeah? Now, next thing, we look into his Uranus on her landing in her 9th house in Scorpio. Now, Mary, we come into that, what you wanted to go to. First, it starts with Libra energy, but now we're in the Scorpio apartment. Or department. Conjuncting the moon, sorry. Apartment. Did you get it? Yeah. Moon, apartment? Okay. So what has now happened with his Uranus from the 5th house, rule of the south node, Scorpio, lands in her 9th house on the moon, or close to the moon. Is that 23 degrees? Yeah, 23 degrees. Yep, but from my point of view, even if it's a white orb, the moon feels it. Yeah, a Scorpio moon is very sensitive. Yeah? So, and it makes square to Venus, yeah. What could that mean? Just like her, what she feels, and then we put this together in previous life. Yeah. In previous life, it came to separation between the two of them. Yeah?
With his Pluto in her 9th, and then his South Node in her 1st Aquarius, you have this I get the image of really a time when they were together and really free living, maybe nomadic type culture, and then you just see this. And I get real warrior energy also from Ryan. Uranus, Mars, squaring the nose too.
Uranus conjuncting Mars, squaring the nose.
Good. What did I say? That's what I meant.
Yeah, okay. There's in Mars,
So
isn't it?
then you see like some kind of really hard trauma.
Yeah.
With the tribe.
Yeah. So we see it came to separation. Yeah? Why?
Why the separation?
Well, it's even in the Sagittarius house, it maybe like somebody had to travel away.
Natural disaster.
A natural disaster could be one reason, no doubt. Yeah? With Uranus conjuncting the moon in ninth house. Yeah? Or any other kind of disaster. Yeah? Huh? Yeah, master further belief. By the way, we see that they had previous contacts in previous lives, right? Okay, so we don't have to go there.
Really, actually, wake up really, really deep soul connection.
Very deep soul connection. Very deep soul connection. Yeah?
I saw that, and actually, when you put the south node over there.
Yeah.
So that would have made them recognize it almost immediately.
Immediately.
Instinctively.
Yeah.
Instinctively.
Yeah. And see where they met? In an astrology class about evolutionary astrology. Yeah?
Yes. Well, do it too, I thought that's all. Or were you not going to have?
We do the, I just do it very slow for all the people that always have problems with, if it's too fast. I like to do it faster because I don't have the feeling, it's like out of the flow, but just like step by step, even if you don't go as deep as usual. Yeah? Okay. So we also have a square. His Venus, Uranus is squaring her Venus.
So both of basically the rulers of both of ourselves now. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah? 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 Anyone else? What is squaring what?
both of ourselves now.
That south node ruler of his, Uranus, makes square to her south node ruler.
They've been doing separation, coming together from people.
Yeah. Who sometimes need to be free and independent and detached from the steps of going into an emotional relationship. From my point of view, his south node, 8th house, yeah? He is fine with having an intimate relationship, yeah, in order to feel emotionally secure. Therefore, he can give a lot, but he wants to have the feedback, Uranus, in Scorpio, rule of his south node, to be very special. No doubt that he is. Yeah? But very often this feedback was expected. Yeah? Now we have someone who has a strong need to initiate relationships. Yeah? Which triggered out what? Within a south node in Aquarius. Jealousy. Jealousy. Yeah? In order not to get wounded again, then sometimes Ryan cut off the relationship. Yeah? Yeah? Make sense? But very often, he triggered out her need to be independent in a south node. So very often the relationships needed to be defined in a very independent way, which on the one hand Ryan likes, on the other hand it scared the shit out of him. Yeah?
And would it also be that, like,
Including the 4th house, yeah, in Libra.
and if would it be then also if she felt he was too needy, that made her push it out?
Yeah. If he became too needy, yeah, through the 4th house, yeah, yeah, then she went like, yeah, panic, yeah, could be one scenario. Where are we?
What about
We were doing square them both to work.
Uh-huh. What could be another option where they know each other from? Well, do we see an attraction between the two?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? How could we describe this attraction? Just like put together what we have now, analytically done step by step. Just like brief kind of words. Where's the attraction? What kind of an attraction is it? Like-mindedness? What else? Physical?
Soul, erotic.
There's a deep soul, kind of erotic, kind of, knowing each other, knowing that they both could, dive into the deepest deep. Yeah? Even though it might be painful in this little roller coaster into our shadow land. Yeah?
There's also something refreshing about it, awareness.
Yeah? Yeah?
There's also the support too, knowing that they both have incredible emotional wounds, that they can both empower each other through that healing process.
Yes. The problem is that what I meant by a little roller coaster through the shadowland, yeah, that in some stages the wounds that come up are so intense, yeah, that there might be the danger that one or the other projects the upcoming wounds from the past onto the partner, instead of seeing that the partner with a mutual attraction is triggering out these memories. That's a major difference. That's a major difference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's when the separation occurs.
That's when the separation occurs. Let me, another thing. His south node, ruler, Uranus, coming from the 5th house, as the ruler of the 8th house, lands on her mid-heaven to the degree? No, Uranus. Making square to her Venus, ruler of the south node. There could be another scenario where they know each other from. Scenario.
Could you have been one of our clients? Could you have been one of our clients?
Yes.
Somebody happening by,
And then he fell.
Whose phone is it? Oh, I thought it's Mary's. Say it again.
The Uranus, where somebody happening by her profession, we were talking about her Venus, her 7th house, so one of her clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
He fell in love with her. That was what happened. He fell in love with her, and they didn't know how to deal with that situation. Because she had exactly, and a high class one. She had her status and profession and all that.
That's
stuff.
to be detached.
Yeah.
That's one of the shocks. For my, please, I hate relationships. I really hate relationships, and I hate to do that right now.
Well, because it's on her midheaven, right?
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you hate it?
That's just like, ugh. I don't know.
I gotta figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out for me. Give me a call when you know it. But yeah, I sense such a thing. I do sense such a thing. The high degree of attraction. The reason why I say that, just look into, Ryan has, in this beautiful sign Virgo, has Venus in Virgo, Moon, Jupiter in Virgo. His moon, which is his emotional self-image, yeah, or the natural ruler of his 4th house, where we have the emphasis of Saturn, Sun, and Pluto. Yeah? The natural ruler is the moon, lands in Jennifer's 8th house. Yeah? That is when one's moon lands in someone else's 8th house, there's a very deep emotional simpatico. Does it make sense? Yeah? So here was like, almost everything found in her soul, to be in her, with her, in an intimate relationship. Yeah? The mental understanding, the home, the traveling, the philosophy, all that. in her 8th house. Yeah? Just the problem was that, sometimes it was just not possible. Another option could have been, like in one of her lives, could have been, I'm just making it up, that square the note, that her father had dictated who she has to marry to expand the family power. Expand the family power. Yeah? Make sense? Now that poor girl was, married to an asshole. Yeah? And now she needs him.
Those different levels of prestige and stuff.
Exactly.
That cause a big problem all
Yeah.
the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Make sense? And how do I feel if I'm like, if I find the woman that I was longing for since ever, and she's not available? Either because being married to someone upper class, yeah, or she is not allowed to marry me because I am upper class. I mean, keep in mind, Ryan has a activated node in Leo, royal, with the ruler's sun in the 4th house. He had incarnations where he was royal,
Even though that's
and she was the prostitute.
that was the Roman scenario.
That's a Roman scenario.
Right there.
Yeah.
Because he was a high-class person. So in one way, they were on the same social level, same interaction, but there was this
Different
one
social
barrier-
functions.
Right. The one barrier they could not break.
Yeah.
He had a lot of prestige and stuff.
Huh?
He might even have
Huh?
a wife or something.
But that is like a pain in the ass. Can you imagine the emotional torture?
Horrible.
Huh?
So you can pull things from the North Node.
Here, because it's activated. His North node, he has T-square node. She has T, yep. So we can work with both nodes. Yeah? So to me, yeah, this is one scenario. Another scenario that I do see, no doubt, is indeed the wiping out of their natural tribe. Yeah? Another thing that I see, I'll make it a little briefer, because we have the, where is it? Look at this, his activated North node lands on her sun. Yeah? Coming from the 2nd house. Yeah? Sun. Venus. Huh? So we also have another scenario between the two of them. Which could be?
There's another one too.
Huh?
There's one more. It's on their way.
There's one more?
Yeah, well, both of our north nodes are conjunct.
Your north nodes are conjunct?
His north node sun is conjunct my north node Scorpio Pluto in the 4th house. So when his north node, see that?
No.
My north node is in Scorpio.
Yeah?
His north node is in Leo.
Yes?
Pluto, look at his Pluto is at 14 degrees Libra, and his sun is at 9 degrees Libra. You see that?
Oh, you're talking about the rulers.
The nodes are conjunct.
The rulers of the nodes are conjunct. Yeah. Yeah. The rulers of their resolution nodes, so to speak, are in conjunction. Yeah? In the 7th house of hers. Sun, Venus.
And in his 4th house.
There we go in a second.
This is very critical life.
We'll look at that, but we see what else, because that happened in the past too. Any idea? His north node lands on her Venus Sun, with his ruler of the north node in her 8th house, conjuncting Pluto. Of course they were married. Happily married. Totally happily married. Implying, or with children. Son. Yeah? Totally happy. Because they were listening to each other, yeah? Had like similar value systems, similar taste. Yeah? His son in the 8th house. Yeah?
This is why I sometimes get a little skewed with Jeff's message, because I kept looking for something wrong when you say this. When you say, look, because that's we do so many of those charts, and there was nothing wrong. I couldn't find anything. It was like a blank. It was nice. Anyway. So then they have, like, the courage for this life, or for any, I mean, you're
Hold on. Let's do step by step and just, collect information, and then we make deductions. Yeah? Not too fast, because otherwise, hey, you're made for each other. No? But we see they have been, in relationships, right? Yeah? Who felt very, very happy in this relationship? Brian felt extremely happy in this relationship. Why?
I got it from the sun on Pluto in the
Sun and Pluto 8th house?
More than her, so the question is,
His activated node from the second house.
He felt totally secure.
His values, his needs, were by her Venus Sun totally recognized and dealt with. Yeah? In a way that he felt Sun in the 4th house, landing in her 8th house. A planet from the 4th house, Sun, Libra, landing in someone's 8th house. That's yummy. Don't you think so? I like it. Yeah. I like it. But keep in mind, there could have been the tendency of codependency. No? Because maybe she got married by him and he was the wealthy one. No? He supported with all the, luxury, kind of, very stylish, old money family. Yeah? That he supported her. Yeah? And she could live in all that, those kind of, no. Saturn is old.
Yeah, that's it.
Money. Sun, ruler of the second house.
Oh, I see.
He came from an old established family that had royal or aristocratic status quo, that had old money. So, look at her!
Eighth house Pluto. Eighth house Pluto. I want the power. Give me the power.
Sun conjunct in the 7th house, he can have it, but somebody else.
Because of somebody else. I.e. because of marriage. Or inheritance. Yeah? But that was not hers. So she felt inferior. No? He was just a shining prince, who just had it. And spoiled her. I mean, she was like, everything for him. Nice dresses and all that. Just to keep her. But
I'm kidding.
how was his reaction, even though she was totally happy, if she had a little flirt? Venus and Leo in the 7th house.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Possessively jealous.
Yeah. Because that triggered his emotional security issues.
And she was like sometimes, she didn't really even think of it as...
Not at all. No.
She would never even think of it like...
Her face, you should see it here. And whenever there's a comment, the whole class could see her face. Just like... Yeah, actually, we should have the camera over there to see, like, the audience.
It's a really observation correlation going.
So is this marriage not so happy now?
Why don't we leave it there and we just do the repeating story now for Jennifer's planet into Brian's chart? Ryan, sorry. Yeah? Is that okay? So, her Pluto coming from the 8th house lands in his 4th house, close to the sun. How does she feel?
No, we've done kind of now.
No.
No, this is your survey.
If your soul, yeah, coming from the 8th house, lands in his 4th house, what does that mean?
Stirs up deep emotions within me. Would it stir up deep emotion within me?
Within her? Within him. It's his 4th house. Where would you feel, what kind of feeling does his 4th house give you relative to a Pluto in the 8th house? Emotional security in terms of, just feeling like a little bit home. Comfortable. Cozy. Yeah? Just like leaning back. Yeah? Okay? And her energy might trigger out within Ryan deep emotions.